battle for the top Android phone is always interesting because there's so much to choose from. Some devices go all out and others are minimalistic. And then there's the case where there's a specific list of phones that's designed to showcase the power and minimalism of the pure Android experience. As a result, this is the Google Pixel 4 XL, what the company calls as the Google phone period, and this is the OnePlus 7T, what the company dubs as smooth like never before. Chances are, if you're an Android purist, you're looking for the most powerful alternative, and these two devices are at the top of the food chain. One for being Google's showcase of what the Android experience should be, and the other for challenging Google at that particular premise. You'd assume that this would be a no-brainer comparison. I mean, what other company can showcase Android better than Google? And yet you'd be shocked at how the tables are turned. I'm Jaime Rivera with Pocketnow, and this is OnePlus 7T versus Google Pixel 4 XL, sponsored by Wix. Click the link below to create your own professional website. Technically, this is not a fair comparison. I mean, the 7T is a whopping $300 less expensive than the Pixel 4 XL. You'd even assume that they are not in the same category, and yet, I'd recommend you do not judge a book by its price tag. Hardware-wise, both devices are made of aluminum and Gorilla Glass 5, with OnePlus adopting a more reflective approach than Google. Surely, one of the first companies to bring matte glass to the market is OnePlus, but Google's glass is so matte, it looks and feels more like if you're holding a plastic phone. This means that if you value how clean your phone looks with use, the Pixel wins that part. The 7T is half a millimeter taller, a hair thicker, but then the Pixel is a millimeter wider and around 3 grams heavier. I'd say that the taller aspect ratio on the 7T gives it a lighter feel when you hold it over the Pixel, but the donut camera hump is so intrusive that it even makes the stove on the Pixel look better when placed on a table. Now, even if their footprints are relatively similar, OnePlus is more efficient about its use of space, and that's more evident when you compare these displays. The OnePlus 7T has a taller 6.55-inch AMOLED panel versus 6.3 inches on the POLED panel of the Pixel 4 XL on a nearly identical footprint. The Pixel swings back because it has more resolution at Quad HD Plus versus Full HD Plus. Still, colors on both are fantastic, along with viewing angles, and I could even say that I could count on both the same on direct sunlight, but the OnePlus 7T is brighter. And then there's the cool factor of the 90Hz refresh rate, which is available on both devices, so expect that fast and fluid operation on most everything you do regardless. Those of you looking for life without a notch, grab a Pixel, but honestly the teardrop on the OnePlus 7T is nearly indistinguishable, and I honestly prefer its more symmetrical approach to the bezels. Those of you who prefer a more secure way to unlock your phone, Google theoretically has a better solution with its facial recognition, but that crashed and burned the moment you can unlock your phone without your eyes open.
The last time I personally compared products made by
And
Apple.
finally, those of you who care about loud dual-firing speakers, don't worry, you'll be served just fine on both.
It was iPhone 10 versus Pixel 2 XL.
You'd say the display battle is a tie since each phone holds its own, but that changes dramatically when you compare the internals. For $300 less, the OnePlus 7T demolishes the Pixel 4 XL thanks to a newer, more advanced processor, 2 more gigs of RAM, and double the storage, which is also UFS 3, a slightly larger battery, and a much faster charging solution. Really, the only spots where the Pixel stands a chance is because of its Qi wireless charging, and also because it includes an IP rating versus none on the 7T, which claims to be splash resistant. Notice how this comparison started as more of a tie, and it's not until we brought the specs and the price tag that the scale started tipping over to the OnePlus 7T. I would definitely call this device the winner of hardware, but you'd assume, alright, let's move into software, and that's where Google is going to win because this is the Google phone, right? Wrong. Obviously, if you're an Android purist and you're looking for the latest and greatest version of Android and timely software updates, then yes, Google will make any OEM look bad. But let me remind you, the OnePlus 7T launched first and with Android 10 out of the box. Software is really more a matter of taste, and in that sense, there are things that I love about each of these phones and things that I don't. I do prefer the Pixel's launcher aesthetic, even if OnePlus looks more like stock Android than even Google's own phone. I also prefer the Pixel for offering the Google feed to the right, where you can only get that on the 7T if you pick up the T-Mobile variant. And I also prefer the Pixel's way to launch the Google Assistant when you squeeze the phone, which is a power button approach to the 7T so long as you enable it in the settings. And I also prefer Google's living universe approach to wallpapers versus what you get on the 7T. Sadly, the love story ends there. Sure, you now get a dark mode, but try to schedule it on a Pixel. I know you can't. OnePlus, on the other hand, has been doing it right since day one. Also, try to install more than one WhatsApp to handle multiple accounts on the Pixel, and you'll see that you also can't. Leave that to OnePlus. Stupid, annoying things like being able to use a USB-C flash drive work flawlessly on the 7T and every other Android phone and their mother, whereas on the Pixel 4 XL you need to format the drive for reasons I don't understand. And then the list goes on. From the OnePlus gaming mode to one of my favorites, the reading mode, to the Zen mode. OnePlus has clearly been working harder on giving you added benefits on Oxygen OS, which a Pixel user would only dream of. You know, it reminds me of all the added benefits you get when you create your own professional website using today's sponsor, Wix. Wix has all the tools in one place for you to create a professional-looking website without the need to code or pay extra hundreds of dollars for a design. It also has a powerful, intuitive, and free tool that will help you improve your search engine ranking, Wix SEO Wiz. The Wiz is your magical personal assistant when it comes to SEO and will guide you every step of the way. With the Wix editor, you can create your homepage as simply as dragging and dropping things into place. Text, images, graphics, layouts, everything you need is there for you to drag them around until you're satisfied with the end result, and you will. Click the link below to create your own professional website. You then say, well, Google makes Android, so the battery life must be crazy optimized on a Pixel, but I hate to break it to you, the king of battery life here is the OnePlus 7T. I could barely get through a day with the Pixel 4 XL, whereas on the 7T, I can get one day and then an extra couple of hours on the next one. Really, the only section where I give points to the Pixel is in the added optimization to Google Fi. Sure, the 7T supports it, but it doesn't jump around networks as well as the Pixel, and if you care about phone calls, I'd give the same points for both, as calls sound just as great on either. So fine, let's move into the section where the Pixel always wins. Let's talk about the cameras because a Pixel is a Pixel. You'd assume that this is where this device is going to obliterate the 7T, and yet you'd be shocked at how close this comparison was. Google was rather stubborn about how much it prefers telephoto over wide, while OnePlus doesn't bother to make you choose and gives you the 3 focal lengths you'll care about. During the day, if I ask you to tell both photos apart, I doubt you'll be able to. If anything, the Pixel is a tad warmer in certain cases and sharper than the 7T, but the differences are really negligible. Google also seems superior in dynamic range and slightly more saturated, but not by much. Sadly, the Pixel lacks the wide angle that gives the 7T so much more versatility. And the reasoning for that is that the Pixel gives you better results when zooming through software and hardware. And still, when comparing 2 photos at 8x digital zoom for both, I'd say neither produced a fantastic result. The 7T also brings hardware that enables a super macro feature that the Pixel lacks. Once you get really close into a subject, the Pixel will ask you to step back while the 7T focuses and takes the shot just fine. Now, where the Pixel just demolishes the 7T is in low light, but not because OnePlus wasn't able to pull some decent performance. It's mainly because the Pixel was able to get a sharp photo even with the minor handshake that all of us humans have, while the 7T was able to keep up, but sadly not render a blurry shot half the time. And sure, the 7T includes a night mode for the ultra-wide, but don't even bother. That one performs worse. And if we were to talk about portraits, things get really interesting. The 7T offers the option of a wider crop, but you can't revert the results as you can with the Pixel. I'd call the 7T's results more natural, but it's hard to deny how epic the results are from the Pixel regardless. Thing is, if I were to do selfie portraits, the 7T wins. I mean, don't get me wrong, the Pixel is great and all, but it falls apart if you add more than one person to the shot, while the 7T detected 3 people in the shot every single time and delivered a decent photo, even if sure, I would say it's rather soft. And if I were to compare video, neither device is what I'd call my favorite in this department. Sure, stabilization is great, but only the 7T can do 4K at 60 frames per second, even if it oversaturates the footage beyond what my eye saw at the moment. And then sadly, both are capped at 1080p performance when it comes to selfie video. So honestly, I can't tell you that this is a reason to consider either at the time when you buy when compared to other offerings in 2019. To conclude, let's just say this comparison became more of a no-brainer than I thought. I mean, for years, Google has been Google. They almost made it seem like if they were years ahead of their competition, from their camera performance to their fluidness of Android to the timely software updates, you would pay the extra premium for a Pixel because it was worth it. Sadly, I have to say that the Pixel 4 almost feels like if Google is not trying, and simply molded some of the internals of 2018 into the experience of 2019. And during that period of time, a company like OnePlus that doesn't have the scale of Google has clearly shown us that the Google Premium is no longer justified. And sure, there are spots where the Pixel's camera wins, but there were others where it didn't. Match this with the added specs and the software experience that you get with the 7T, and all for $300 less, and again, what you have here is a no-brainer comparison. I'm really sorry, Google, we want to love the Pixel 4. It's a good phone, but sadly, there's just too much overconfidence, almost the same as we saw with OnePlus and the OnePlus 2, and OnePlus learned their lesson. We saw their change, and it seems that Google needs to do exactly the same. In absolutely every way, the OnePlus 7T is a better buy, and definitely the phone that I would recommend most. What about you? Which would be your pick out of these two? Share them in the comments, and while you're at it, follow us on social media and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this one. Our extended coverage happens on Instagram, and also follow me on my personal handles to see what I do with these phones. Please give this video a thumbs up if you like what you saw. I'm Jaime Rivera. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you on the next one.